Doorskip. I wanted to go over 10 tips that I think would have really helped me out. If I could go back in time and be like, hey man, here are 10 things that I would do that are going to move you along in music production. These are what I would tell to myself. So, first things first, I do have this template here. Uh, Usually just build off this and just kind of replace drums. Then usually have some sound design down here. So first things first, let's do make unique. We could pick anything. So let's pick this tom drum. It's a beautiful sounding tom drum, but let's say we want to have another tom drum and we want to have it be, I don't know, say a slightly different pitch or something. So we go here and we click right here. Now, this is where it can get a little confusing. You can double click on it and then open up this menu. This menu is not the same as clicking on right here. These are two separate, completely separate, different menus, so just be aware of that. And then there are some more options you can use with tools that can adjust other things, but we'll get into that. So we don't go to this wrapper menu. Instead, we go right here. And there are two ways to do this. So there's just regular make unique. If I can see it, there it is. Got any glasses? All right, so it's kind of hard to show it now because this isn't really a long sample, but so yeah, this is the full sample. So if you do make unique, it's going to be the full sample. But if you go like this, and then you go make unique as sample. All right, so now we saved it, but as you can see, it doesn't have this tail end right here. So just be careful. This can actually come in handy if you have a really, really long sample. Let's say if you're jamming, you're synthing for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes at a time, and you got a 3-minute sample, you don't want to use that whole sample, obviously. So you can just cut a little section of it, and then you can use that little section, make unique as sample. So now you got a little sample instead of that whole ass sample right there. So there you go. There's make unique. I would definitely recommend using it. You can create a lot of like little fills, just something real quick. And so now we have two separate samples. Now, one thing to note about this, this is in the same mixer track as this, so they will both be sent to that. So it will have the same effects on. So if you have some reverb on here, you're gonna basically double the reverb because the sample is gonna have the reverb, and this sample will look. Oh, actually, I'm talking about consolidation. We'll get to that. Never mind. All right. So let's move on. All right. So let's go to the mixer. I'm gonna have to drag it because I do have this on 2 monitors, which I do recommend you use 2 monitors. 2-monitor gang for life. Not used to this 1 monitor thing over here. All right, so you see, here's my mixer. I do have, actually, don't really think I do have buses. Okay, here's my master. So as you can see, I have a limiter, and it is also on my second screen. So this is now we're gonna actually hear what my track sounds like. But so I like to have a limiter right here, and I like to set it to minus 6 decibels. You know, for the mixing for the, I don't know, the recommended amount of headroom. I just kind of go with it. So I set it to minus 6. So now I'm basically, while I'm making music, I'm gonna have this open, and then so I can kind of see when something is kind of going over that -6, so I can kind of bring everything to that balance point. And then same thing if I'm working with a sound and I want to like beef it up a little bit, I can kind of beef it up to the -6 point, you know, and just it's all about balancing. But here I can press play and it'll demonstrate. So you can see I am peaking a little bit over. So that's telling me my drums. I mean, that's usually the case. It's like my kick or my snare is just a little too loud, so I would have to go in and then turn that down. So limiter in the master, set it to -6, and save it as a template. So now you have it every time you go in. Just have your have it detached. I don't know if I showed you that. You can click right here and go to detached, and that'll basically make it so you can. Now it's not detached, but you basically make it so this is detached, so it's gonna always stay in front or go to wherever monitor. So go here, go detached. All right. I'm gonna drag this out of the way because I don't think we're gonna need this anymore. All right. So let's move on. I think we're gonna go on to sound design. We will come back to this mixer, but I'm just gonna drag it over here for now. All right. So number 3 is clean sub. This is so important. I should have been doing this years ago, but I've just really been paying attention to just trying to keep my sub as clean as possible. I mean, I don't necessarily have to I don't always go like a perfect sine wave. Like it can have a little bit of harmonic fluctuation a little bit just to give it a little bit of, I don't know, character, I guess you could say. But I think this bottom one is the clean sub. So you'll hear a tip pretty often in music production. It's the sub needs to be more about feel than hearing. So I definitely would recommend getting a subwoofer. That has changed everything for me. I can't stress enough, if you're making dance music, bass music, whatever, get a subwoofer. You need it. It's like one of the most important things. And then so I used to just think that you'd want to make a sound and then that sound would have like a sub in it. Like you would just use one serum patch or something, and then your sub would be in there, which you can do. It totally works. There's nothing wrong with it. And I have sounds where I make it like that. I found you have a little bit more control when you have layers. So I do like to do some layering. So I have this sub, and then I usually have patches I'll call like sub layers. So it's a little bit, so you can feel this one a little more. So let's stick with this one. And here is a top layer for a sub. This is a bit gritty. You could definitely pull this back. You put stick a low pass on it or something. You can automate it. You can do whatever you want. So I have a bunch of top synths for subs. I definitely recommend making some specifically for the sub, and then you can work on the sounds that can kind of float on top of it, basically, and just work on mixing those, and then mix them to your drums that it needs to be mixed with. So we'll get onto that. So we have our sub layers. I think we're actually going back to the mixer already. Okay, so I like to high pass everything. I don't know, it's kind of a meme in music production, but let's see. I'm sure if I have the clap's got to have a high pass on it. I'm sure. Oop. Yeah, of course everything's detached, so it's all in the way all of the time. Yep. Got a good old high pass right here. Let's go to the snare. Should have a high pass on it. Boom. Yep. So it's not really telling you a whole lot right now, but sub frequencies, they're very fragile. So if you have, you might not think something like high pitch, like some of these would really, like a clap, you wouldn't really think, oh, it doesn't have bass to it. But see if you pull it back, it's got some. It's not quite in it's not quite in the sub frequency, but there's enough there where you're gonna start clashing. If you have all of your instruments have a little bit, you're gonna start getting some peaks there, and then you're not gonna be able to hear your bass at all. So if you do that with everything, that bass is gonna cut right through. So as you're just basically giving your bass a nice little lane, just be like, here I am, bud. So yeah, definitely high pass everything. I mean, not everything. Obviously, you don't want to ditch your sub, but sub layers, yeah, you definitely don't want the sub from your sub layers cutting. So yeah, your sub should really be the only thing that your clean sine wave should be the only thing that's really in that 30 to, I don't know, what is it, like 90 hertz range, somewhere around there. But that's the only thing should really be sticking through, and then after that, pretty much high pass everything. So I definitely recommend that, and high pass after your effects, and I think we're actually about to get into that. So effects chain. Let's see. So let's pick another sound. I don't know if we have. I guess we could do a snare. No, let's do a tom drum again. I love tom drums. I swear, it's like my favorite sample. Where is it?
6.5 hours later.
All right. Finally found my tom drum. It took way too long to search for that. Okay. So. All right. Got our tom drum here. Sounds pretty good. I think it might even have effects on it. Oh, no, it doesn't. Okay. So, perfect. So we have this tom drum. I'm going to just do this. Oh my god. Oh my god. Come on. Why are you doing this to me?
1 eternity later.
Press record and FL stops working. Okay. Cool. So that is what we call a dry signal there. There is nothing going on with that tom. It's just a tom drum. So now right here we can add effects. I'm sure you've played with this already, but let's start off with delay. Oh, God, I need glasses. I can't see. Fruity delay 3. All right. Can't stretch this guy yet, unfortunately. So I'm sure you could understand what delay does. Oh, my God. Yeah, we're going to have to stretch this out. So we're going to make this a wet tom. Got some nice delay on there. All right, so you can bring the delay down. Pretty self-explanatory. This will adjust the time of it. What I like to do with a lot of sounds, though, is you can get a nice robotic sound if you like bring it all the way down. And if you look up in the top left corner, you can see like what you're changing it by. All right, so just bring it up just a little bit. Ooh, starting to get that like that cyborg sound. And then you can also automate this, which is very cool. So let's, I hate doing this selecting thing again. Select it right there. Tools. So the last thing we tweaked, so we can go to last tweaked, create automation clip. This is like a little bonus I'm throwing in. I don't know if you know how to create automation clips like that. I think we are going to do automation, but so you can automate the time, which I like to do with delay. You can get some really, like right around in this area, you can get some really cool sounds. Just like some really, I think we might even be able to just, I've never actually tried to draw like this, but. See where that was a tom drum before. Let's turn the delay off. To that. You can turn it on half, so it's like just coming in just a little bit, but we still got that dry signal. You can just keep it full wet tom. All right. So let's move on. So we got some delay in there. Let's add another effect, the classic combo. Delay and reverb. Where are you bastard? There you are. Okay. Give it that nice room. So now it sounds like it's in a big chamber. One thing with reverb, nice put on a little bit of low cut. I mean, we already have the high pass on, but so the low cut is basically it's basically doing the same thing as the high pass. It's gonna bring the low end in like that. So you're not getting any of that signal coming through, but we shouldn't have any coming through anyways. So we have that set up. So now there's a few things you can play with reverb. So there's the dry. So you'll really hear the sound. But you can also kind of wash it out by bringing dry down. You can bring wet up, and it kind of makes it sound more like a pad. That actually kind of sounded like a stick. That was pretty cool. So you can do that, and then you can also you can automate this. So it's so if you have like a bunch of toms in a row or whatever, like a synth, like you can have the synth kind of wash out over time, and you can do that with anything. So you can use this combo and you can create a lot of really cool sounds. And then there's the decay time. Be very careful with this. If you set it over this, it's gonna just start running into everything. Like, this is gonna cause a lot of headaches for you if you're not careful with it. See, it's still going. It's still going. See, it would bleed into quite a bit. So that's only at like a quarter. So if you turn that all the way up, you're gonna run into trouble. So yeah, I usually like to keep it around there. Don't make it too long. But you can, if you're trying to make a pad or something, perfect. There you go. That's a nice start of a transition. All right. What else do we got for the effects chain? So we have. Oh, this is a good one. This one is called Spreader. I just started using this one this year. I think this might actually be a new one, which is why. So again, I usually like to turn the low pass up just a little bit. Same thing. It's low cut, low pass, same thing. It's just so the low signal isn't coming through, because you really don't want to make a low signal stereo. Just doesn't really make sense. I mean, you can get a little bit of it. You can go a little down there. Just not too much. So this will give you some nice stereo imaging. This is a good, and then you can kind of play with it to ear to see like where you want it in the field. So like it's like sounds aren't like both running into each other. So if you got two sounds running into each other, you can kind of go like that, So they're sitting away from each other, and they're kind of they got all their own little place in the song. So if I turn reverb and delay off, I believe this should just be kind of, more down the middle like this. So if I turn reverb down, I'm actually going to go like this so it loops. So if you watch Spreader as I turn reverb up, really starts to give it that room. Obviously you don't need to have it be that wet either. You can still get that. But it's all about finding that balance basically, so it has its own spot in the stereo field without being too wet basically. All right, so that's just some basic effects chains. One thing, this might surprise you. I know we did all this low cutting, but let's check out another EQ real quick. So this is at the end of the chain. So we have our first EQ, and then it goes down to delay, and then it goes into reverb, and then it goes into spreader, and then it goes into the last EQ, and then it goes to the master, because that's how it's sent. But the chain's always gonna go down. So let's take a look at this final EQ. Ooh. There's a little bit of low end in there. What's going on? We cut all that out. Reverb tends to create harmonics, and I don't know exactly how it works. I don't know if it like splashes back or something, but I always thought harmonics kind of worked in one way, but maybe I'm wrong. So you would want to create another high pass. All right, so that is a basic effects chain. take all this with a grain of salt. I'm not like a pro or anything. This is just how I do it. But try things out, experiment. You can place things differently in the chain. Rules are meant to be broken. So let's try side chaining next. Ugh, God, I hate this topic so much. Not really, but let's turn all these effects off because that's going to be a lot, probably. Yeah. All right, so side chaining. So right here we have these two automation clips. Just basically do what I did. You just select like a little area. And then, so I'm using Fruity Balance. So for this, I made a bus. So if you don't know how to make a bus, you basically just make a track, and then you dock it to the left, and then you just rename it the bus, and then you would have these basically send into these. So multiple things go in a bus, and they all ride the bus. All right. So we have the bass bus right here. Nope, just kidding. Bass bus right here. We have Fruity Balance. I like to use this for my side chaining. I know no Nicky Romero fancy compression tool or nothing. This is just the stock ass Fruity Balance. I don't know. There's probably some nerd out there that's gonna tell me this sounds worse. I'm sure it does. I don't really care. It works. It sounds. I've had my drums complimented. They say they sound tight. They're tight. It's fine. So just use the balance. You don't need any fancy compression tool. And I have heard this in my mix too. Compression, it can really destroy your mix if you don't do it right. It can completely it can cut if it's too slow. It can actually work against you because it's not fast enough to catch the sub frequency, and then it clashes with the other sub frequency, and then it creates a bunch of mud, or it creates like a bunch of pumping because it's trying to overcompensate. It's really bad. I don't like compression. I'd say stick with volume automation. I know what you're thinking. Oh, that takes so much time. I don't want to do that. I don't want to automate every time. Make a template. This is what I have. I have a template right here. So every time I open this up, it doesn't sound that great, but I'm ready to go. My drums, or I have a bus ready, so I can change the sound of the bass however I want, and then when I change it, I don't have to ever worry about doing any side chaining because my side chaining's already done. It's good to go, and it's proper side chaining to an average kick. So, and then if I change the kick, you can just change the side chaining a little bit. I don't, it's not a big deal. It'll take me like 5 minutes, not even. So have one automation at about right around like half of a cut of volume, just like that, just around the shape of the kick, and then around this little part right here, which is the transient, which is like the part that really smacks. You really want to hear that, so you just have a nice hard cut right there. So that should be perfect. It just lets the bass cut through. I have heard of people doing three automations. I think it's a little excessive, but to each their own. Maybe it is cleaner, but that's too much work for me, man. So let's move on. My next tip actually was buses. Okay, so looks like I've already kind of gone over that a little bit. Yeah, so I guess I can just go over it one more time. Yeah, so I do have. There. I guess there are a few more things I could talk about. So my drum bus. So I have all my drums linked to here. So then once they are linked here, I can add just a very, very slight amount of reverb to just kind of make it all sound like it's sitting in the same room. But let's move on to layering, which I already talked about. So I guess we are all out of order here. Yeah, I basically already covered this. There's really not much else to go over. I could add another synth if I wanted, but you get the idea. You just layer sounds. I guess real quick, I'm gonna completely ruin this, but real quick we can go over this one. Just like that, folks. We got it. You just gotta play around with your sounds. You can just start adding in your different top layers, and then I do have all this EQ'd, so it would like fit nicely over the other layers, so you're not clashing too much. That's what I like to do. I just like to have like a folder of like different types of layers, and I just kind of switch them up, and then maybe adjust them a little bit, and then we got a song cooking, and then so I guess moving on. I guess we can do automation next, and then I'll show you how to save all of this. So we have our new sound. So let's. Okay, so that sounds pretty cool when we adjust the LFO. So let's go over here, and I'm going to show you step automation first. I like to do this with a lot of my synthesis, especially for LFOs because you're changing the rate. So we go back to the synth. All right. So so basically you have to do a last tweak create automation clip. So you just go here, you tweak the LFO. So let's. Ooh, I like that. All right, so we start off with that one. Options. Oh, there we go. Tools, last tweaked, create automation clip. So now we have a nice step right here. So now every time we trigger this automation, it's going to be in that LFO rate. So let's drag it to the side. Let's make another one. All right, so let's tweak this to right here. Tools, last tweaked, create automation clip. And then we can do that again, just tweak it one more time. Let's go up one, create automation clip. There we go. All right, so now we should have 3. They look like they're the same rate, but they're not. They're slightly off. So let's see what it sounds like all together. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really hear the difference between that, but so let's put this one right here, and this one is its own one, so we can edit this one. This is the other type of automation, which isn't really step automation, it's just the free form. This can sound pretty cool when you're working with something that should have step automation, because it can kind of create stuff in weird times. This might sound very terrible, but this could sound very cool for all you know. And that's what it's all about. You just got to experiment a little bit. So let's check this out. Let's actually start it over here. Ooh, I like that. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to save it. So, got this here. I think you might have to also do this with your side chaining, which is a little inconvenient. So keep that in mind. So keep your side chain close to your base that you're planning on side chaining. So let's just. Oh, this is annoying. Control. Oh. I don't think I need this anymore. I'm getting this out of the way. Thank God. Get a second monitor. You don't need to have your mixer like that. It's so annoying. Ugh. All right. So highlight here. All right, it's going to highlight that drum, but I don't really care. All right, so now we're going to hit one of my favorite hotkey combinations, Control-Alt-C. It's so nice. All right, so Control-Alt-C. Here we go. And it's going to consolidate it. Oh, why'd you do that? Oh. I didn't highlight the base. All right. So we just did that. So that sucks. So what this does is it creates a sample of everything that was highlighted there. So we just muted everything that was highlighted. So we can go Alt Shift M, and that will unmute everything. So let's try this again. So we're gonna just. All right. So now we have everything highlighted. We have our top layer, we have our automation, and then we have our side chain. So it's all ready to go. So now we hit Control Alt C. Bam, we got a baseline. Look at that. And it's side chained and everything. So you're ready to go. Well, that kind of sucks if you want to throw it over a different drum pattern, but if you work with like a standard drum and bass drum pattern, then that should be just fine. So so now if we have this layered, this will be at the same volume, and then if you double click on this, you'll notice that it doesn't have a track, so it is not linked to the other track like I was trying to tell you earlier. So it won't have double effects on, so you don't have to worry about that. But if you do put it to the same track, it will have the effects on that it had, so just be wary. So now sounds exactly the same. So that's awesome. So now we can unmute everything. Alt Shift M to unmute. So now if we play it, it's going to have two of them. So this is way too loud because it's got two top layers. But you could, this is something you could also do if you really like this layer and you think this is what you're just going to stick with. You could change the top layer, maybe like make it a different waveform or something, or like reduce the octave, or I probably should do a different waveform. Basic shapes, probably do like a square or something.